Hey y'all, this video was always meant for release later on when I got to the newer people, but since I mentioned Gerald Levert in the Judy Garland video and people started requesting him, I'm going to go ahead and release it now. Now, I was going to re-edit it for the public, but I've decided to just release the full members version. I don't know how long this going to stay up though, because it really is some stuff in here that kind of makes me uncomfortable to release to the public. So this may just be for a limited time, but anyways, here's Gerald Levert.
Beautiful ladies and handsome men, I am not sure what's true or false in this story. I take gossip, tea, rumor, and scandal from yesteryear, from online, from word of mouth, from books, and I ball it up and I tell you guys a story. Now, let's get to it.
What's up, Scandalites and Says So Squad members? I got a new mic, honey, so I really hope that I'm not blowing y'all's ears away right now. I'm gonna try to turn the volume down. But anyways, we are back with another old Hollywood scandalous video. And this video is not really old Hollywood, I'm not gonna lie. This is new Hollywood, but because you guys are my members, I've decided to do the video for you because a lot of people requested it. And this video is on a man who was apparently everybody's boo, because baby, them folks in the gossip blog have been going crazy over Mr. Gerald Levert. Let's get to it. Gerald Edward Levert was born on July the 13th, 1966 in Dayton, Ohio. His mother was a Mrs. Martha Levert, and his father was that dang on smiling behind Eddie Levert, who was one of the front men of the singing group, the OJs. As Gerald was the first son born to Eddie and Martha, gossip claims that he was a very spoiled baby. However, he was not going to be the only son for long because only 2 years later, his brother Sean came along. And Sean and Gerald were said to be very, very close growing up. And since their father Eddie doted on them, he made sure to bring his boys on the road with him lots of times. Which meant while their father was performing, the boys were backstage able to get a feel of show business both on stage and off stage. In fact, little Gerald and little Sean would be off stage in the wings doing their little jigs and dancing while their father Eddie was on stage performing. And it was through this, as well as Gerald singing and dancing at home, that led to the discovery that he had a great voice. And not only did he have a great voice, his brother Sean had a great voice also. And since they were both blessed with this, it soon became apparent to everyone that these boys were destined for a life in show business. So Gerald, as well as his father Eddie, really started pushing for the boys to form a group. Gerald spearheaded this cause, and Sean fell directly in line behind him. And by the time they hit high school age, gossip claims that they found another guy, a friend named Mark Gordon, and they started their own group, a trio called LEVERT. Eddie wasted no time getting his boys into the studio and getting their music out there. And in 1985, they released their first song called I'm Still. And although the song only made it to number 70 on the Billboard R&B charts, it still showed great promise for the things that were to come. And one of those things that was to come was a full album that they released in 1986, and this album was called Bloodline. And this was said to be the first thing that truly put the boys on the map. This was the first instance where other people in the music business really started perking up their ears to listen to what this new group LEVERT was doing. And that's because Bloodline had a hit song on there, which actually became the group's first #1 hit. This song was called Pop, Pop, Pop Goes My Mind. And honey, once they mind got to popping, it was clear that LEVERT did not come here to play. Especially when they took the world by storm in that next year, 1987. Child, them boys released a song called Casanova. Next thing you know, that's all you heard. Baby, everybody thought they was a Casanova, even the women. The song was a huge deal, and it actually was the first time that a lot of people in the world got their first glance at the LEVERT boys as well as Mark Gordon. Gerald and Sean them had that hairstyle with the half wave, half curl hanging to the front. Child, the ladies loved it. But that wasn't even the biggest thing going for Gerald. As the group put out more songs, the music industry started to discover that Gerald Levert had a knack for writing. Baby, more than a knack. The boy had doggone talent, honey, because soon he was writing songs for everybody. Stephanie Mills, Anita Baker, New Edition, and honey, you know my favorite, Practice What You Preach. Even wrote Practice What You Preach for Barry White. Here I am, girl, practice on me. All right, back to the story. And this is not to down the other people in the group, but since this is a Gerald Levert video, we're talking about Gerald Levert, and he really was a standout talent in his group. And since homie had all of these singing talents, all of these writing talents, it was only natural when Gerald wanted to go solo. And so in 1991, he released released his first solo album, which was called Private Line. And while it did just okay on the Billboard charts, it did more than okay on the US top hip hop and R&B albums chart. In fact, it spent 2 weeks at the very top and sold over 1 million copies. Some gossip claims that that's still the best-selling album that Gerald Levert ever had, solo album anyway. So Gerald Levert was truly on his way now. Like I said, his writing pen was hot as heck. He was steady putting out solo albums with better and better music, was also singing with a group called Men at Large, and then on top of all of that, still putting out music with the group he helped create, Levert. Gerald Levert was just getting hotter and hotter, baby, and it came to a point where people in the industry didn't know what the heck he was gonna do next. But honey, Gerald was getting ready to sprinkle that little magic on him, getting ready to drop that kaboom on him. And this is when he teamed up with 2 other hot behind singers. One of their names was Keith Sweat and the other one's name was Johnny Gill, honey. All 3 of them got together and they formed a group called LSG. And when they dropped that gem, when they dropped the fabulousness of 1997, a song called My Body, baby, the world went up. Baby, you talking about a hot behind song. That song was it. Honey, I was in the 7th grade, I'll never forget, and singing that song like I knew what was going on. And ain't no nothing except that tall black man in the video was setting the rain on fire, something like that. But baby, I loved it. Either way it goes, the song was definitely one of my favorites. And if I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it actually introduced me to Johnny Gill and Gerald Levert. I didn't know who they were before that song. And no shade, but I actually kind of forgot about Johnny Gill again after the song, but who I didn't forget about was Gerald Levert. So anyways, LSG was that thing, like I always say. And they did continue to put out more music, but unfortunately, nothing ever lit up the charts again the way My Body did. Either way it goes though, when it came to Gerald Levert, he was now a made man. There was no question that he could deliver. In fact, in that next year, he came out with more solo music, including standout songs Taking Everything and Thinking About It. And he kept on doing his thing. Some of his songs hits, some of them not so much hits, but either way it goes, Gerald Levert had proven that he was an absolute star. And so now y'all know what time it is, baby. It's time to get to the what? The scandal, child. The scandal. Let's get to it. Now, I've told y'all that in them doggone gossip blogs, Gerald Levert is married to about 35,000 women in them doggone blogs. Well, allegedly, he was really like that in these streets. Honey, it was one woman in the blog talking about how she knew Gerald Levert personally, and he was engaged to 2 of her friends. Now, he was not engaged to them at the same time, but it was still the fact that he allegedly was engaged to these 2 women who knew each other and I guess hung with each other. Now, per this lady, she says that neither of the engagements worked out because Gerald Levert was a cheater. He was a ladies' man. And she claimed one of the fiancés, one of her friends, had actually caught Gerald cheating. And honey, you ain't gonna believe who the fiancé says she caught Gerald with. Now, the story that was told said that the fiancé left the house that her and Gerald had. She left to go run some errands or something like that, but she was supposed to be gone for a long time. Well, she comes back early, walks in the house, and catches Gerald Levert hugged up and laid up with Kim Whitley. Baby said the fiance went off and was like, "What's this, Gerald? What's she doing here? Why is she here? Oh, Kim, you worried about the wrong thing. Kim, just my friend. That's my home girl." But apparently the fiance ended up feeling like Kim was more than just a home girl, so she ended up calling off the engagement. And let's be real, the fiance was probably doggone right. Because according to sources, Gerald Levert and Kim Whitley actually grew up together. And also according to sources, when they were teenagers, they became very close and wanted to date each other, but Kim Whitley's parents did not want her dating Gerald Levert, allegedly because he was a part of the music industry. You know, they just didn't want their baby girl getting involved with somebody that was probably going to be on the road cheating on her. But Kim Whitley was a teenager, she was in love, and so she ignored her parents and she started dating Gerald anyway. Well, Kim imagined that she and Gerald were going to be together forever, but baby, the folks say that Gerald Levert basically put her in her place real quick. Said he told Kim Whitley first of all, the only way that we will ever get married or be together like that is if you give up your career. Because I don't want no woman that's all in the spotlight and everybody gonna be able to see and stuff like that. No, I want a woman to sit at home with the kids. I want a woman to take care of the household. So if anything is gonna happen, you're gonna have to give up your career. And second of all, GERALD LEVERT supposedly also told Kym Whitley that, he didn't plan on being a one-woman man for real. You know what I'm saying? He said that even if he did settle down, it wouldn't be no time right now. In fact, he went further to tell Kym that he could not see himself married until he was like the age of 50. So basically, they supposedly made a pact where both of them, if they were single at the age of 50, they would get married. Is the way Kym Whitley tells it. But allegedly, the folks say it wasn't really no pact. It was basically GERALD LEVERT telling Kym that he didn't want to get married until he was like the age of 50, and if she was still single, maybe they could do something then. Now, a lot of people believe this rumor of Kym wanting to marry GERALD and GERALD not really wanting to marry Kym because gossip claims that Kym Whitley used to get very jealous over GERALD LEVERT. Baby said that if GERALD pursued or talked to another woman, that Kym Whitley would give the other woman hell because she felt like GERALD LEVERT was her man. In fact, there is a clip that Kym Whitley supposedly shared herself, kind of showing her kind of act a fool or kind of clowning over GERALD. Here it is.
I want to thank y'all for joining us. I mean, everybody put it down, and Patty was so wonderful. And you know what? I don't know who these heifers are talking to GERALD, but I'm going to cut them. I'm going to cut them. I don't care about the party. She in his face. They're a little too close to him. Excuse me. I don't try to be rude. But no. I don't want to take no picture, but you need to back up. You in his personal space. Y'all back up. Y'all too close to him. I told him about GERALD. I will cut that heifer. I will snatch every braid out.
Now, some folks say that she was just playing, just clowning around. She wasn't being serious, but baby, I don't know. All I know is that there is another rumor out there that claims that she really wanted to bust Monique upside her head when GERALD and Monique started talking. Honey said that GERALD and Monique got to talking and Monique was so cautious about it, she actually went up to Kym Whitley and asked her permission to date GERALD LEVERT. And baby said Kym Whitley was messy about it, honey. Rumors on the street say that Kym Whitley gave Monique her permission and then sat up there and was mad at Monique the whole time Monique and GERALD was messing around. Baby, these messy Hollywood streets even say that Kym Whitley tried to get Monique back later on in life by flirting with Monique's husband that Monique has now. Apparently, the flirtation went so far that Monique actually thought Kym was trying to take her man. And straight up started telling people that she didn't fool with Kym Whitley no more because Kym Whitley was disrespectful to her by doing too much with her doggone husband. Here's the thing though, if Kym Whitley was jealous over GERALD for real, baby, she had a lot to be jealous about because GERALD LEVERT did not play when it came to women. And baby, the next rumor is just messy. Because the gossip blogs say GERALD LEVERT started working with a bunch of gospel musicians behind the scenes. Say he started mixing and mingling with Yolanda Adams. Baby say Yolanda forgot about church, Jesus, and everything else when GERALD LEVERT started hitting it from the back. Now listen, most people say that this is an absolute rumor and there is no truth to it, but even still, the rumor gets even messier. Because honey, gossip claims that this is actually what broke up Yolanda Adams' marriage. I think when Yolanda and her husband divorced, Yolanda was saying something about spousal abuse. Well, allegedly, her husband's mother got mad and wanted to defend her son. Baby said the mother-in-law stood up in the church and told everybody that now the reason y'all marriage breaking up is because you was sitting up there sleeping with GERALD LEVERT. Tell him about that. Baby, like I said, I don't know if it's the truth, but if it is, honey, I know Yolanda Adams wanted to melt down into the church floor and never be seen again. After Yolanda, though, gossip claims that Miss Patty sat up there and got a piece of GERALD LEVERT. GERALD LEVERT and Patty were touring and they were doing all of these love songs, and I guess one night on the stage they got hot and heavy, like too into it or something. Child, the folks say that GERALD and Patty rushed off that doggone stage and went to a hotel room and got it on. Listen, honey, y'all is messy, but that's dang sure what's out here on these internet streets. Now, although those last two relationships possibly need to be taken with a grain of salt because I can't see anywhere where I can prove it, this next relationship is claimed to be very, very real. And that is when singer Miki Howard became a big part of GERALD LEVERT's life. And Miki Howard and GERALD LEVERT were said to be very, very in love. And their relationship was said to be going strong, but then some kind of hater or somebody somebody started putting a bug into Gerald's ear. Said whoever it was hating hard and telling Gerald, are you sure you want to be with a ready-made family? Mickey Howard already got kids. Are you ready for their responsibility? And per gossip, Gerald really did switch up on Mickey Howard, baby. Said he started acting differently. And then when Mickey was kind of like, what's wrong? Gossip claims that he told her, I don't know if I'm ready for a ready-made family. You already got kids. That kind of take away the joy of having my first child. You've already experienced it. And I don't know if Gerald and Mickey actually ended up breaking up for a little while, but I do know that eventually they came back together. Word on the street is that they were doing very well and very in love until Mickey Howard found a stash of GERALD LEVERT's pills. Now, I don't know exactly what these pills were, but considering the way GERALD LEVERT passed away, maybe they were pain medication, which I know from the past things that I've done and been through that they are highly addictive. But anyways, the folks say that after Mickey found this pill stash, she ended up breaking up with GERALD LEVERT. But this must have been way before Mickey Howard ended up having a problem with drugs herself, because I just can't see her finding these pills and wanting to leave Gerald. I don't know, just things seem like they don't add up with that. So maybe this was before she got caught up into the drug scene. Another real relationship that GERALD LEVERT was said to have had was with Kandi Burruss, the singer from Escape. Now, per gossip, Gerald stepped into Kandi's life when she was going through a kind of hard time. She'd had her daughter Riley not too long before, and you can tell that Gerald was much different than he was with Mickey Howard, because gossip claims that he actually stepped up into a stepfather's role when it came to Kandi Burruss and Riley. Rumor has it that he was definitely helping when it came to raising Riley. He and Kandi made sweet love and sweet music together, but I do believe that Kandi Burruss was a little bit too petty for GERALD LEVERT. Gossip claims that she is one of those women who will find a deep insecurity about you and then pull it up when y'all are arguing. Baby said that Kandi and Gerald would get to arguing, and out of nowhere she would pull up, well, that's why you ain't got no Grammy. I bet I got a doggone Grammy, but you ain't got one. Now who doing what? And from what the folks say, Gerald tried to put up with this as long as he could, but after a while he got tired of this behavior from Kandi, so he shot the deuces. Anyway, all of this relationship and romance type info really just leads up to the fact that GERALD LEVERT was a player. Rumor has it that he has 3 children, and 2 of those children were born in the same year to different women. So yeah, to get into a little bit of family tea though, it's said that GERALD LEVERT and his father Eddie generally had a great relationship. In fact, a lot of rumors say that Gerald was Eddie's favorite son. But all of that changed for a quick minute, because gossip claims that when GERALD LEVERT found out his father Eddie was cheating on his mother and leaving her for another woman, that Gerald was not having it. Allegedly, there was even a point of time when all of this was going on that Gerald actually got in his daddy's face and told him that he was a sorry MFer. And the folks say the reason that Gerald took this so hard is because he looked at his mother Martha like an angel. He grew up watching his mother doing whatever she could to raise them and to take care of the house, despite his father Eddie on the road cheating on her, living it up, going to parties, having a good time. And so per Gerald, he saw his mother go through a lot of abuse, not physical abuse, but a lot of emotional and mental abuse. And like I said, the woman never said a word. She just sat back, shut her mouth, and did what she needed to do. As a matter of fact, Martha was said to be such an angel that GERALD LEVERT had did a few interviews himself and said that the reason he felt like he was having a hard time settling down is because he was putting too much pressure on the women to be like his mother. But see, GERALD LEVERT needed to be bust upside the head for that, because why are you expecting these women to be like your mother? You see how that doggone turned out? You want these women to sit back and not say anything and be this perfect angel, but look how that worked out for your mama. She still ended up getting left in the end. But anyways, to get back to the story, like I said, so there was some complications there for a moment. And then I'm sure things like Eddie sitting up there doing interviews telling the world, I never thought I'd be a good man. You know what I'm saying? I even cheated on Martha, Gerald and Sean's mama. I wasn't even good to her. But see, now that I met my new wife, I can be everything I need to be with her. And this interview on the screen, I'm not sure if this was before or after Gerald died, but even so, I'm pretty sure his father Eddie was saying things like this when Gerald was alive, so that didn't help it either. Gossip claims that Sean and Gerald were so mixed up about his father marrying his new wife that when it came to the actual wedding invitations, they slighted those invitations and instead took their own mother to dinner because she was still said to be having a hard time with Eddie leaving her and marrying this new woman. After some time though, Eddie and Gerald did mend their relationship, although I'm not sure if it was the same with Sean, because gossip claims that Sean was Martha's baby. Like Gerald was Eddie's favorite and his baby, but Sean was said to be a mama's boy honey. And you can tell that Sean was more of the spoiled rotten one, because as he was growing up, the way he was acting was very spoiled rotten. First of all, he developed a $50 a day marijuana habit when he was around 12 to 14 years old. In 1992, he was convicted of impaired driving. I don't know if it was drugs, alcohol, or what it was. In 1993, he suffered from a bit of a drinking problem and he got arrested and convicted again for having open beer cans in his vehicle. And then in 1995, he was convicted of drug abuse, and this time he was sentenced to a rehab stay. And although Sean completed that rehab stay, I'm not sure if Sean Levert's life was ever really truly stable, because there were multiple times throughout the years that he was caught driving with suspended licenses as well. I mean, I know suspended licenses are not big offenses, but you know what I mean. I just don't know if Sean ever truly got all the way straight. But we'll pick him back up in a minute. Let's finish with Gerald first. Towards the end of Gerald's life, there were a lot of rumors going around about how Gerald started to kind of regret some of his life choices. And I know one of the main things he regretted was having all of these different children by different women, and his children were kind of away from him. Rumor says that Gerald didn't like that he couldn't have a hands-on relationship with the raising of his children, but gossip also claims that Gerald Levert started to feel lonely. He was now 40 years old and he was not a married man. In fact, he was never a married man. And so he was looking back at all of his relationships and all the times he was telling women, you know, I'm not ready to settle down though. And now at the age he was at, he was kind of lonely. He was kind of wishing he had made some kind of deep connection with somebody. And what I can't understand is, if that's the truth, why didn't he call Kim Whitley up? Because the T says that they were connected, boom, 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 until the day he passed away. And it's also said that he also would talk to Kim Whitley whenever he was going through relationship problems with anybody else. So if you guys were that connected, then why didn't you call her up and, you know, marry her? Unless Kim Whitley was already with somebody else. And then gossip claims that Gerald Levert also was very depressed over his music career. It bothered him that he had not won a Grammy yet. And some sources say that he possibly even felt like he was being left behind by music. And true enough, in the year 2006 and in the next year, 2007, there was a pretty big shift in music. Music really moved to more of pop music. That was the thing that was going on. You know, soulful R&B was not in as much. So I think Gerald kind of felt like maybe he had missed something, kind of missed his prime in music, I guess. All I know is that all of these negative feelings probably started making Gerald Levert feel like he needed to self-medicate to make himself feel better. Because gossip claims that he ended up getting on Xanax, which is a anti-anxiety drug. And he also started taking Vicodin, Percocet, and Darvocet, which are pain medications, but they give you a high feeling. Whatever the case, come September or October 2006, Gerald Levert went on tour in South Africa with his father, Eddie. While they were there, Gerald was said to be a little bit agitated, and then matters became worse because he ended up being bitten on his back by something. The bite irritated him so badly that he ended up going to the hospital to get it checked out. But per gossip, the hospital did not find anything wrong. Well, they get back to the States, and some weeks later, or maybe even less than that, Gerald Levert starts to have breathing problems. He is wheezing, he can't catch his breath, and in November of 2006, he ends up getting on the phone with his father and letting his father know, you know, Dad, I feel terrible. You know, I can't breathe, I'm wheezing, all of this good stuff. And so his father tells him, you know, go to the hospital. And that's what Gerald does. He goes to the doctor and they draw some blood and they tell him that nothing is wrong with him. They send him home. Well, the folks say that Gerald called his father Eddie again the next day to talk about the doctor's visit, but also Gerald was upset about something. There was some Levert family member, I cannot tell you who this was, who had upset Gerald tremendously. And so he was on the phone with his father and he was just ranting and raving, you know, I'm so sick of him. Why would they do this? Oh, I'm madder than a bee, just going off. It got so bad that Eddie kind of got got riled up himself and he told Gerald, hey, get yourself together. I can't talk to you when you like this. Call me back when you cool off in a few days. I'm not finna talk to you like this. And Eddie was later quoted as saying that like Gerald, when he got upset, he would get very emotional. You know, so Gerald was just on the phone saying all kind of stuff. Well, about 3 days passed, and in the range of that 3 days, Gerald's pneumonia gets so bad that he goes and buys some over-the-counter antihistamine. Well, Gerald Levert is not a doctor. He does not understand how the antihistamines are going to work with all of those medications already named, the Xanax, Darvocet, all that good stuff. He doesn't know how that stuff is going to mix together. And so it just so happens that on that 3rd day, when Gerald was allegedly supposed to call Eddie back because Gerald has now calmed down, he did not call Eddie back, but what he did was take his antihistamine and all of the rest of the medications, and he got in the bed and he laid down to go to sleep. Eddie does end up getting a phone call, but the person on the other line is not Gerald. It is somebody at Gerald's house telling Eddie, hey, Gerald was found lying in the bed. He was not responsive. Now we are rushing him to the hospital. Eddie starts trying to do whatever he needs to do to get to the hospital, and then he ends up getting a call back telling him that Gerald Levert did not pull through. The date was November the 10th, 2006, and Gerald Levert was only 40 years old. Now, the Levert family were said to have gone through a lot of grief when Gerald passed, and none more than his baby brother Sean, because although they probably were not joined at the hip, they had their own close relationship. And although Gerald's life thus far probably not perfectly straight and narrow, he definitely stayed on the straight path more than his brother Sean did. So now without Gerald around, you know, Sean was really probably trying to take it one day at a time. But things ended up piling up on Sean anyway, because 2 years later, in the year 2008, Sean got in trouble with the courts because of back child support in the amount of $90,000. And because Sean was so behind, he ended up being sentenced to 22 months in jail. When he started his jail sentence, it was found that he also had been taking Xanax, the same medication that his brother was taking. As a matter of fact, rumor has it that when Sean arrived at the jail to do his sentence, he actually had a baggie of about 60 tablets in there. And I'm guessing he had this on his person in order to give the jailer or whoever to have it, to give him his medication when needed. And that right there is truly me guessing. You know, I don't know why he showed up with the bag of medicine. Maybe that's why. You know, I don't even know how that stuff works. So like I said, I'm just guessing that that's why he showed up with it. But rumor has it he definitely showed up with the bag of like 60 tablets. Whatever the case, Sean is led into his jail cell. First day passes, no medication. Second day passes, no medication. By the 3rd day, Sean Levert is starting to go through withdrawal. And Xanax is a benzodiazepine drug, which means that the withdrawals are a lot like alcohol withdrawal. And I don't know how many of you experienced alcohol withdrawals before, but they are very, very painful. And then on top of that, you start hallucinating. Well, by the time the 4th day comes, Sean is in his jail cell and he is crying and he is screaming out, somebody help me. I need my medicine. Somebody, I need my medicine. I'm in so much pain. Nobody gives him anything, which means by that 5th day, he was in a full-blown withdrawal. That 5th day was said to be March 29th. By 11 o'clock that night, Sean told his jail cellmate that there was a woman standing outside of the jail and she was just screaming. She was just yelling and she wouldn't shut up. His jail cellmate tells him, ain't nobody out there, Sean. And this was because Sean was hallucinating. 3:30 a.m., March 30th, Sean starts to tell his cellmate that he hears his wife. His wife is crying out to him. She's calling out and she's telling him their son just fell into the pool. I gotta do something. My son has fallen into the pool. My wife is telling me this. Jail cellmate sitting over there scared. And Sean is scared too. They both go run and push this panic button inside of the jail cell that calls a corrections officer. Corrections officer comes to the cell. Sean is crying, a flood of tears. So they call a nurse, and this nurse takes Sean Levert to a pod, like a cell for mental health patients. Nobody gives him his medication. March 30th, 7:45 p.m., Sean stops a sergeant and tells the sergeant that he's just seen a horrible car wreck. Horrific. Sergeant goes straight to a nurse and tells her that Sean is acting delusional. Soon as the words come out of his mouth, Sean starts to scream and holler that his mother and his son is being killed. He needs to stop this person from killing his mother and his son. He gets so worked up and is so adamant that somebody is killing his mama that they actually take him out of the cell and allows him to call his mother Martha. But she didn't answer the phone. 3 hours later, Sean is shouting and pounding on the cell floor. He is hitting it with all of his might. He is screaming so loud that the people in jail said it sounded like Sean was in his cell being attacked by 3 pit bulls. Whatever it was that Sean was seeing that was doing him like that, whatever it was that he was fighting off, when the jailer came to open the door, Sean jumped up off the floor and rushed into the jailer's arms, happy to be saved. And guess what the jailer does? Does not hand Sean any of his Xanax medication. Instead, he handcuffs him and straps him to something called a restraint chair. The whole time Sean is being strapped in, legs, arms, and all this kind of stuff, he is screaming, "No, no, no," trying to fight against his restraint. And then he starts to breathe very laboredly and very rapidly. And then he closes his eyes tight and he says, "She did it. She killed my mother." And then he sits completely still and stops all shouting at 10:57 p.m. A nurse named Jane Lawrence came in to check his restraints, make sure nothing was too tight. And then she called the psychiatrist and told the psychiatrist about Sean's actions and what he was doing right now. And she also told the psychiatrist that Sean had a medical history of taking Xanax. Psychiatrist tells her immediately to give Sean an injection that contains 3 medications: Benadryl, Ativan, and Haldol. Nurse Lawrence gives Sean the shot, and then she goes to her office and she calls Martha LEVERT, Sean's mother. She tells Martha, "Your son is fine. He's not in any danger of hurting himself or anybody else. He did get wild in his jail cell not too long ago, but now we have everything calm. Everything is good. You know, we will keep a watch on him throughout the night." Hangs up the phone with Martha, goes to check on Sean, and realizes he is not breathing. Paramedics come get him. He arrives at a hospital at 11:42 p.m. Doctors work to revive his heart, but they cannot, and so he is pronounced dead at 11:57 p.m.
Okay, y'all, I'm gonna cut in right here. So anyways, the reason I was saying that maybe Sean and Eddie never got their relationship back as close as it was is because after Sean had passed away, Eddie was going all over the place just saying, you know, I don't know why he didn't call me for the money. So the fact that Sean didn't call Eddie for the money, you know, I don't know if there was bad blood still there, or maybe Sean just wanted to kind of stand on his own 2 feet and not bother his father. I also want to let you guys know that I have included the link in the top comment of Sean when he was in jail. It's not the whole video, but it definitely shows towards the end of his life just how bad he was hallucinating and how bad things were going for him. So, you know, watch at your own discretion.
The coroner ruled that he died of a complication of sarcoidosis, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and withdrawal from Xanax. Terrible, terrible tragedy that could have been avoided. Rumor has it that the LEVERT family did indeed sue, and supposedly they got a pretty large settlement for the failure when it came to Sean LEVERT. And many of you were saying in the comments, you know, "Oh Lord, Ashley, don't make me cry," and all this kind of stuff. And at first I was kind of just like, "Cha." But in the grand scheme of things, it's really no way not to cry, or at least feel very saddened, you know, at the end of the LEVERT video, because they were very young guys. As a matter of fact, Sean was only 39. I don't think I said that. 39 years old. They were very young. You know, they had a lot to live for. Just for those 2 brothers who had grown up together, did everything together, for them to like pass away like that. Which makes me want to tell y'all, make sure y'all stay safe. And I love you guys, and I will see you guys with another members video soon. But right now, I gotta go. Bye.